Just let yourself drop into that place of fullness, of all that you've received this weekend, of the fun that we've shared, of the love that we've shared, of the learning that we've shared. What we do together to increase our light. What we do together to bring healing to ourselves and to the planet. What we do in the name of love. And we do in the name of compassion. And we give thanks that we can be here, that we are here together, that our lives allow us, that we've created lives that allow us. That we can be in this family of love and experience together the love of Spirit each day. That we have the ability, the time, the desire to create an awareness for ourselves. That we can create that awareness outside of ourselves in the world. And as we feel the arms around us of Spirit, of the entourage of Kryon, and we feel that unconditional love because we're seen. We're seen as sacred, magnificent beings here. We are here, the gift of this life, to grow our souls on purpose and create a vibration for humanity that uplifts everyone, that lifts the planet into ascension, that lifts our consciousness into a place of limitlessness while we are human. And we feel the honoring of our place on the planet as humans, and the support and the love from Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. The end of the second day often features a personal channel. Personal in that it is more for those in the room than a greater listenership. And this is no exception. And the reason that it is often personal is that the subject of the day is personal. Together you have learned about the systems of the human body. Sometimes it's a review, sometimes there's something new. But in the process of this and the answering and asking of questions, there is a coherence. A meld, if you want to say that, between that which is human to human. It's almost as though the fields of the human start to get bigger and they intermingle one with each other, and some of them get so big that they contain the room itself. Where you start to feel compassion for one another that is so special, it's beyond that which you would even say is reasonable. You don't know each other. You don't know your names, perhaps. And yet there is a compassionate bubble that extends to them and you. I've just described another kind of a field. You might call it a coherence field, and there's more. There's a lot more. And it's something that you will feel and that you will be aware of and that you will never be able to measure. But you'll know it's there. Continue to call it coherence if you wish. What happens when compassion is so great that all that are involved feel it? And it's not necessarily compassion for something that has happened which is negative at all. Imagine that you are listening to a story, or perhaps within your midst there's a healing. Perhaps somebody gets out of a wheelchair and walks among you. That has happened. It almost brings you to your knees in celebration. When you know there is something bigger at work and you feel it, the compassion surges through the room. And some will even weep in joy that someone else is healed. There is something else going on beyond coherence. And I will tell you what that is, and it's only words. But it's the first time I've used the words in this way. It's something new between groups of humans. Eventually, it is something the entire earth will feel at some level. And I'm going to call it soul melding. What is your soul? Well, first of all, it's almost untouchable. You're not measuring your soul when you measure coherence. You're measuring that which is in your heart, your brain, the triad of the pineal, all that is you. And yet your soul seems to be removed. Your soul is eternal. It is part of that which is the creative source. Your soul has a name you'll never know unless you're not here. Your soul is precious beyond belief. It is pure compassion and love. It is part of the creative source, as I said, and yet it is not. It is part of all that is. It is part of you. It is untouchable. It is so sacred. And you'll never be able to measure it. And yet, something is happening on this planet that's going to change all of that. Is it possible there is soul systems that you've never discovered? An acknowledgement that that which you think is untouchable, that is so esoteric you can't even put your finger on what it is. You have the same soul, dear ones, lifetime after lifetime, with the same name on it that you can't pronounce and don't know. It is so beautiful. So eternal. It was here before the earth. It'll be here after the earth. And yet, dear human being, the evolution that you are beginning to have starts to meld with the untouchable. And you start to feel it together when souls start to merge in compassion. More than coherence. It touches the face of God. It reminds you you're eternal. It drops the barriers between you and the cultures and the languages. And suddenly there is a oneness that you can feel and touch, experience, enjoy. And sometimes it's so fleeting. And then you get up and leave the room. What if the future of the planet contained something like this? When you wake up in the morning, you know you're connected to people across the world, and you feel it. And on whatever media you might say is coming, an instant knowledge of all that is on the planet, you're connected with them because you know what they're going through. You know what they're celebrating. What if there became something called the Good News Channel? Displayed perhaps in holographicness in a room where you could step into it and celebrate with them. Soul connection brings the planet together. You want to know why there's going to come a day when you'll never kill each other? Because you're going to be one. That's why. And when that starts to occur, there's nothing that's going to stop it. It's going to be a different planet. It's more than just consciousness starting to elevate. It's more than just compassion being recognized. Dear ones, part of your evolution contains information about the untouchable, the soul. It starts to be part of you in a way that you don't expect. It starts to increase the oneness feeling you have with a few others and then more. A marriage with your technology and that which is the spirit of you and the creative source will someday give you the ability to celebrate even small things, the birth of a baby, with someone in India. The celebration of healing someone has done with their own mind and the spontaneousness of the remission and the chasing away of disease that happened across town. You'll be able to tune into it and celebrate it. And there will be those who would encourage the celebration because they've discovered that the more that celebrate, the greater the event. And the greater is the oneness of earth. There'll come a day when they will no longer broadcast things that are dramatic for dramatic sake. They will show them to you so that you can step into the room and create peace in the minds of those that are disturbed by the things that took place. Where every single one on the planet is involved in the healing of the others. And what you feel in your compassion and your action doesn't simply fall onto the floor, but it literally goes into a soup of compassion that others have. You'll step into a room and the technology will show you how many others are in that oneness room. And it will be counted in the billions. And the coherence of them and the soul melding will heal long distance events, create peace where there isn't peace, comfort those that are thousands of miles away, speaking different languages. I just gave you a picture of what has happened on other planets as they started to evolve. And you will have the same. Distant future, yes, you will be there. It's what you're for. It's what you do. It's what the souls do, eventually melding with the biology of the ascended human being. It starts here. It starts now. It starts slowly with a measuring of the coherence of someone in a chair. This is where it's going. And eventually these things will be seen as normal. The integrity of it will be absolute. Dear ones, it's going to change what a human is. I wouldn't tell you these things unless I'd seen it before. How far away? Too far. But dear ones, time is that way. It marches along, and eventually you're there. You will see these things. An emphasis on light instead of dark, and it will be natural. There'll be no flash in the sky. There'll be no spiritual experience. It simply will happen normally because that's the way maturity and growth occurs. Slowly over generations, The children, of course, will lead the way. They always do. I want you to think of this as your future. I want you to smile that it's coming. And I want you to know that the old soul in this shift are the ones that are planting the seeds to the eventuality that I've just given you. Now come back to your chair for a moment. When you leave this place and get up and walk out, I want you to think of these things and what is coming and what you can do right now in your thoughts and your actions that will speed the light. Speed the light. And so it is.